How's it going, Preston Outdoors fans? I'm your host here, Ethan Preston. In today's video, I want to talk to you about a review that I promised you a few months ago when I did an unboxing video for this rod. And today we're going to be talking about the KastKing Speed Demon rod. This is a bass technique specific rod, and this is the, however long it is, it's the 7-foot cranking rod, and we're going to get into this today. So first off, again, this rod is 6.20 ounces. It's a little bit lighter, but it's a glass rod. So what's that mean is it's got glass made into the rod, so it actually, let's see, it's a moderate action, okay? Not a slow action, but it's not a fast. It's moderate. It's in between. So a little bit slower action than what you're normally used to using, okay? We got the red and black accent here. You're going to see the Speed Demon. I don't know if you can see that. Speed Demon crankbait, 7-foot right there. This rod is rated for line weight either 18 to 17 pounds. Lure weight is 1/4 to 3/4 ounces. Okay. Today I got this paired up with the KastKing Assassin. This is a 6:3 to 1 gear ratio reel. A little bit slower reel than I normally throw, but we're throwing anything from your square bills and stuff like that. It allows the bait to get a little bit deeper quicker. So what I'm going to use this rod for, obviously it's a crankbait rod. I've thrown a lot of square bills with it this year already. Again, I came to you with this unboxing video a couple months ago, but I wanted to do a review video after I've had a chance to fish it a lot, and I've had a chance to fish it a lot. So not only is it a crankbait rod, but I have been also been throwing a little bit of your traditional spinnerbait on this rod. I know it's a glass rod. I know it's, you know, going to be a little bit, tougher to get these fish out of weeds and stuff, but I've been throwing the traditional spinnerbait. I've been throwing your bladed jig or chatterbait, what have you, and I really like it. At least I asked the question, what about your deep cranking? Okay, your 8-foot, 9-foot, 7-11 deep cranking glass rods. I'm here to tell you, a couple weeks ago I was throwing this bad boy. This is a Strike King 10XD. I don't know how heavy this thing is. I think it's like an ounce or something. It's huge. Okay, I was throwing it on this rod. Obviously it's going to have a little bit more bend because it's not made for it, but this thing handled it well. Last year, before KastKing came out with a glass cranking rod, I was using other rods that weren't made of glass, didn't have a moderate action or anything, and throwing something like this, or even your a little bit smaller ones, your wrist is going to get some fatigue in it. But I didn't have any problem horsing these fish in here, as you can see. These are some pictures that popped up from a couple weeks ago that we were able to catch some fish throwing a bigger style crankbait. I mean, it's rated for 1/4 to 3/4. That's why a lot of times I'm using it for a square bill, or you know, your smaller. Let's see if I can find one here. This is a 6XD, some smaller crankbaits, stuff like that. But then I have played around with it with the 10XD and really love it. I love a glass rod for cranking. This is my favorite thing to use. So what the glass rod is going to do for you when you're cranking, okay? Obviously this bait, if I can get it off the reel here, bear with me. This bait is going to be swimming, or what they call hunting, through the water. Anything just like any of those style. Boom, 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 boom. We're swimming. He gets engulfed by the fish. You're using a normal rod, say you even use braided line, okay? You're going to feel that tap on your rod. You're going to set the hook as soon as you feel that tap, because that's our natural instinct. Well, a lot of times the fish hasn't grabbed it and pulled the bait away. The fish, when you feel a bite, is actually the sucking motion. When they open their mouth, it pulls water in. And when your bait is swimming and you feel the tap, what happens is he's opening his mouth and he actually sucks it in. Okay? It's not like he grabbed it and pulled. Most of the time it's sucking in, so it goes in. You feel that tap at the end of your rod. Okay? If you're using braid or using a rod that's not a glass rod, all of a sudden when it's going in, he doesn't have it yet because he's just engulfing it. And then you go, as he's closing his mouth, you feel that bite, you pull away. What's he going to get? He's going to get these last treble hook here. Okay? You're going to fight him. Now you got braided line, or another rod that doesn't have a lot of stretch, and that hook is just going to start ripping, and then all of a sudden, boom. If they jump, they throw it, or you lose them by the boat. That's the problem I had for years until I got my hands on a glass rod. So what that glass rod is going to do is your kinetic energy. I know it's a big concept here, but kinetic energy is to where you feel the bite. It's going to be a little bit slower. Say we're using braid. We're going to still talk about braid on a glass rod. The braid has no stretch, okay? So you're still going to feel that tick as soon as the fish sucks it in. But with a slower action rod, it's going to take longer for when you set the hook for that energy to run from your wrist to the tip of your rod to pull. So you're going to have even greater hook up success, I should say. But the ultimate cranking situation for me is a glass rod with fluorocarbon. First off, fluorocarbon sinks, okay? That means it's getting the optimal depth out of your crankbait. Then it has a little bit more stretch than braid. Not as much as mono, and mono floats, but a little bit more stretch than braid. So when that fish is coming, your bait's hunting, boom, you get a bite, he sucks it in, I feel the tap at the end of the rod. By the time I set the hook, the fish has already closed his mouth because it took longer for my rod to load up, and it took longer for the kinetic energy to get down the fluorocarbon line to the bait. Boom, now we have him pinned, okay? Now he's got it deep. He's going to try and jump, you know, throw the bait, whatever. This rod allows the fish to pull. I don't know if you can see that. It allows the fish to really start pulling on that rod. And so all the tension is on the rod to where it's a lot more forgiving. If you're using a stiffer rod and he makes that run, you got to be operating your drag, and hopefully your drag's, you know, set the right way. Where this, I mean, he can run a long ways before I have to dip my wrist because it allows the rod to do most of the fighting. There's a little tip for your crankbait setups. I don't throw crankbaits a ton, but when I do, I want to be able to make sure I catch fish. Because a lot of times you're throwing a square bill or something around, or bigger crankbaits, you're going after some bigger fish, okay? So for cranking, a glass rod is perfect. So everything that KastKing's put into this rod, again, this is a technique-specific rod. I believe there's 11 different technique specifics in the Speed Demon lineup. So the rod is under $80 on Amazon. If you want to check it out, in the links to the description below, I'm going to have how to find this rod and all the other KastKing rods and stuff like that. These are Amazon affiliate links. So if you want to check them out, you end up purchasing anything from there, I get a little bit percentage of that. That way I can, again, take off of work here, come out on the boat and tell you guys about this these cool setups. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Let's try and get these subscribers up to help support what I'm trying to do here for you guys. Hit that bell icon below to get notifications or emails every time I upload a video. And leave a comment below. We're trying to get some interaction going here. If you have any questions, let it be hunting, fishing, questions about the gear, anything like that, or if you have video suggestions, a video you'd like to see me make, please leave it in the description, or excuse me, in the comments below, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and tune in next time to Preston Outdoors.